Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and I'm still playing Andean Abyss. So, I think in the last turn, the cartels had a really bad turn. They lost, I think, 4 bases. So, because there was this informant that helped the government to find the bases. So that was really bad. And so for me there is no more threat right now from the cartels. And basically for now it's all pretty balanced. No one is ahead. Everything's more or less fine. Okay, so the next card is the Ayahuasca tourism, and the cartels go first. So they will do the event, and there would be a faction executes free terror with any one guerrilla in each forest and gets +3 resources per terror. Let's see what the card text says. Colombia hosts some of the most pristine rainforests in South America, drawing a growing eco-tourist trade, locally known as Ayahuasca tourism. Pharmaceutical companies have shown increased interest in the Colombian forest for potential medicines. The amazing variety of species also supports a thriving illegal export of animals. Okay, so they can now execute 1 free terror in each forest where they have a guerrilla, and or with any one guerrilla in each forest. Okay, so okay, that's actually interesting. I think that I'm not absolutely sure about that, but I think that the cartels can also use now guerrillas of other factions. It says any one guerrilla in each forest. So I think that should be actually possible. And it also says here, use the executing factions guerrillas if possible. Use active first. If not possible, use Farc, then AUC, then cartels. So yeah, I think that's what we do. So let's start here. So I think it can be also active guerrillas. So here in Panama, this is the first one. So we're going to place that here. Then here is the AUC. And I think that actually the cartels, they will get the money for every attack. Or is it the factions that own the guerrilla? But I would say a faction executes free terror with any one guerrilla. I think it is always the executing faction that gets the money, even if they use another guerrilla. That's a weird card. Okay. So basically that means we can do this here. Well, we simply got to count how many there are. So it just give me a minute here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. We can only count forests, but there is no guerrilla in here. So it's 1, 2, 3. These are forests. And then it's here 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. And we can also use these active guerrillas. So we don't have to activate any. Yeah. Okay, so we got 6 forest departments, and each one gives +3 resources, which is really very, very strong. So they are now at 19. That's an amazingly strong card for for the cartels. Because remember, they can also win if they got 41 resources. Okay. And then it's the AUC here, but the AUC is not eligible, so it's going to be the Farc now. And that is me. And yeah, I can do an action now. Okay, I definitely want to try to destroy these 2 bases here of the cartels. My experience showed that the cartels are, at least to me, the most dangerous non-player faction. The AUC seems always pretty weak to me. The Farc is also strong if you play the government. I cannot say anything about the government as a flowchart faction because until now I haven't had too much experience with them. But the cartels are really strong because in every propaganda round, the AUC and the Farc, they gain money equal to the numbers of bases they have, which is usually not that much. The cartels, on the other hand, they gain money equal 3 times the number of bases they have. And that can be a lot. So, and because they can win by gaining money, that means it is important to really keep them down from the beginning. Because once they have a lot of money, you are in lots of trouble. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to attack these 2 bases here in Meta West and Meta East. So I'm going to pay 2. And now let me see, I could do an extort action afterward or an ambush. Extorting is not... Well, I could do it. It's hard to say. I could also try to... to kill a few guerrillas of the AUC, maybe. Maybe that one. Okay, so I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 attacks. Meta Est, Meta East, Meta West, and Guaviare. Trying to get rid of this guy here. And I pay another one. Okay, and then let's hope for the best. I'm gonna do an ambush here. So this is an automatic success, and that AUC guerrilla is killed. Yeah, it doesn't have to be active. The target doesn't have to be active. And then I'm going to attack this base here in Meta East. And we need a 5 or less to be successful here. Okay, this time we made it. So the base is destroyed. goes back to the cartels. And then here, Meta West, we need a 4 or less. Yeah, okay, cool, we were lucky here. Very good. So that was my insurgent operation, and because we did this ambush, we also did our special activity. So this is it now. Problem is we only have 4 bucks left, but we could rally in the next turn and maybe then do an extort action or something like that. Okay, nice. Okay, next card. We have the High Mountain Battalions, and here we have Gramache. Okay, so this is now a card where the government goes first, so they will do the card event. And let's see what that is. It's card number 9. Okay, here we are. The army in the Pastrana years equipped and situated special battalions to block insurgent mobility corridors through hitherto inaccessible heights. Okay, and they give an advantage and assault treats mountain as city. So that's an advantage that remains for the rest of the game. It's one of these government capabilities. Let's see. It's this one here. Mountain battalions, assault, mountain, it's the same as a city. Usually if you do an assault in a mountain, you will have to have 2 cubes. Let me see. 2 troops. Yeah, exactly. 2 troops to remove 1 guerrilla, because it's harder to fight in a mountain. But now with these high mountain battalions, we can actually remove 1 guerrilla for each cube. Doesn't even have to be a troop, it could also be a police now. Okay, so that's cool. And then it's the AUC, and let's take the flowchart and let's see what they do. Okay, they have more than 6 guerrillas available, so that means they will rally. Again, let's first check if they can place a base. They have to be 2 ASC guerrillas to place a base. Well, that would be possible here or there, but only 2 bases per space are allowed. So in this case, it's not possible. Guerrillas to underground in all spaces with active AUC guerrillas, an AUC base and a cube. That's also not the case. So finally, place guerrillas at all Farc bases, then at AUC bases, then randomly. So let's start again. Farc bases. It has to be a non-opposition space. That's important. And the only non-opposition space with a Farc base is again this one here, Huila Tolima. We had that before. So we're simply going to place a AUC guerrilla here underground. Then at AUC bases, so we got these up here, and we're going to place 4 guerrillas here because it says number of bases plus population. So that means we got 2 bases, population is 2, so we can place 4 AUC guerrillas there. and another marker here. And then we got, we don't have any other bases, but we can place them in 3 spaces. So the last one we have to do randomly. Okay, so this is a 3, 1, and 5. So that would be Cucuta. And that is possible because this is a non-opposition space. So we can place this guy here in the city of Cucuta. Okay, so that was the special, that was the insurgent operation, and now we come to the special activity. This is extort. Everywhere the AUC forces outnumber all enemies and include at least 1 underground guerrilla. Okay, this is actually only here. So they had to pay 3 and they gain back 1, so they are at 5 now. Okay, so that's the end of the turn. Let's do here these boxes. Okay, the next card is then Gramaje, and here we have Castano. So let's see, I'm first here, so that might be important. Cartels transfer 3 resources to Farc for each space with cartel space and Farc guerrilla. Okay, so basically it was pretty stupid. No, I couldn't know that actually. Now, if the bases were left here, it would be definitely an advantage for me. But right now there is there is simply no space where these conditions apply. So it makes no sense to do that, and so I think instead I'm gonna rally now. First let's remove the markers from the last turn, and let's see, I'm gonna rally here in Huila Colima, and let me see where else. So I could place 4 here. I only have 5 actually left, so I only have 5 guerrillas left over here. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I might go here to Putumayo. Yeah, maybe that makes most sense. I could do terror then here, and terror then helps me to bring more opposition into this department. And gaining opposition is my goal. So yeah, I will actually rally here in Huila, Tolima, and in Putumayo, Caqueta. So that would cost me 2 then, and I'm down at 2. Okay, let's get the last guerrillas on the board. So we can place 4 here. I'm wondering if I should really place them all in there. I could also place maybe 2 here. No, actually I couldn't because there's no base. So I can only place 1 here, and I can place these 4 here. Okay. Fine. And now I can do an extort operation, and I will do that. I need some money, so I'm gonna do it here, 1, and here 2, 3, and I'm afraid this is it then. Okay, yeah, I think that's all I can do right now. So I gained 2 more resources, which is not that amazing, but it's a start. And that's then the end of my turn. And then it's the cartels again. And they could do now the event, but because this says second operations, there is this symbol here. That means if a non-player faction, which is not the first one here on that turn order, can do the turn, and the event is not done yet, they won't do it. Normally, following the normal rules, if the event is not done yet, a non-player faction will do the turn. But there is this exception with this symbol, the second ops, because it only helps the Farc. Now that we're playing with this, with the government, actually there is a special rule here in the flowcharts, and that says here government ignores second ops symbol. So in this case, if there would be the government now, if it would be the government's turn now, they would use this Farc protection. So this card is actually completely ignored, or not the card, but the event is ignored. And now the cartels, they will do their operation following the flowchart. Okay, let's see. It says 10 plus cartels pieces available, or rally can place base. Yeah, that's definitely the case. They have lots and lots of pieces available. So what happens is now they can rally in 3 departments, or in up to 3 departments. Place bases where there are at least 2 cartels guerrillas without shipments. Well, that's not the case. Up here in Panama there are already 2 bases. Guerrillas to underground, no spaces with active cartels, guerrilla, a cartel space and a cube, nope. Wherever cartels have a base but no guerrillas, place guerrillas. So that is the case here in Cali. So we're going to place actually quite a few, because the population here is 3 and there is 1 base. So we can place 4 guerrillas here. It's a number of population plus the number of bases. Okay, so now we place 4 guerrillas here. Okay, and this is the first rally. And then it says rally in 1 department where cartels could then cultivate to place a base. And now let's see, cultivate means in a space with population greater 0 and where cartels guerrillas outnumber police. Place a base in a department that cartels just selected for rally. So now all we got to do is we got to find a department randomly where they would then outnumber police, which is basically nowhere in a city, and where we have, let me see, more than 0 population, and we need to have room for a base there. Let's roll again this one. Okay, so that's 6, 4, and 2. So 6, 4, 2. That would be Vijara. And, well, there would be no police, and there would be room for a base, but there is 0 population. So that's not the right area. Guayana, Vopes and Amazonas, these are all jungle, and we also don't have any population there. Putumayo would be the next one, so that's right here. So they will place one guerrilla there. Remember, this is still my rally action. Okay, and that's it. And they will only rally in 2 departments right now, because it says here, place a guerrilla wherever they have a base but no guerrillas, and then rally in 1 department. So they don't rally in 3 this time. Okay. So they got to pay 2 to do that. And then they can cultivate here. Means they can simply place a base there in a department that cartels just selected for rally. They can do this only once, and that's free, it costs them nothing. So you can see that's a pretty easy way to get a base for the cartels, while the others always have to remove two guerrillas during a rally action. The cartels have that easier way. They can rally, simply place a guerrilla anywhere on the board. There are no restrictions, more or less. Not on opposition spaces or on support spaces, like the Farc or the government or the AUC has the restrictions here. But they can place it anywhere. Simply one guerrilla and then do this cultivate action, place a base. That's a pretty good advantage. So next turn we have now Castano, and oh, here we go. Next propaganda card, or the first propaganda card. So this is now interesting. So it's the AUC that goes first. Sadly, it's not. Oh yes, no, it's not us. That's sad. It would be great if we could do that, because then we could sabotage, for example, some of these lines of communications of the government. But now it's too late for that. So, yeah, but anyway, it's not so bad. So, they will do now their, the event here. So let's see what that is. It's 52. Charismatic AUC chief Carlos Castano Gil gave interviews to leading national publications and obtained favorable media coverage to portray the movement as a politically legitimate third actor in the Colombian conflict. The 2001 book Mi Confesión purported to reveal his secrets, sold in all major Colombian cities, and became one of the most popular books in the country. So it seems to be this guy. Huh. Interesting. Reminds me a bit of Putin. But, well, okay. So, let's see. Maybe we found his younger brother or so. Okay, it says here, charismatic AUC political leader. Place an AUC base into a space with AUC, then add +1 AUC resources per AUC base. Okay, so let's see if there's a special rule for that. Sometimes you find them on the flow charts. No, so it is probably simply random. To a space, place an AUC base into a space with AUC. Okay, I think there is no restrictions. If there is if it's opposition or not. But anyway, the AUC is nowhere in a space where there is opposition. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to roll again and determine a random space. So it is 5, 2, and a 1. So this would be Sincelejo. Where is that? It's one of the cities up there. This one here. And there is no AUC. Then it's Cartagena. And there is also no AUC. Santa Marta. No AUC there. Atlántico. Yeah, there we have AUC. Okay, so this is where we're going to place a base. It's the third base of the AUC. And it goes here to Atlántico. Okay, and then at +1 resource per AUC base. Okay, so they have 3 bases, so that would give them 3 resources. Here we are. So, and the last faction who has a turn is the government. The last faction before the propaganda card comes. And this is now actually the first time we can use the flowchart of the government. That's a little funny, but yeah, let's see. Let's see how we're doing here. So it definitely looks cool. I like the colors, and visually it works. Okay, so the government will have first dibs on next card, and leading symbol on next card is government, or next card is insurgency momentum. So that's not the case because it's a propaganda card. No, guerrillas on LOC exceed police. LOC means line of communications, and these are these lines here. These are streets, and these are pipelines, and that is basically where the government will get its income from during a propaganda phase. And this is also not the case because there are no guerrillas on these LOCs. Government could sought to eliminate 3 guerrillas in a space. Well, that's also not the case because except for this, for Bogota, there are nowhere 3 cubes. Well, that's actually not true. Here are 3 cubes, but if they would do an assault here, they could only attack these 2 guerrillas, so it's not enough. But government could have sought to eliminate all guerrillas bases in a space. Well, that's interesting because that would actually be possible, I guess. So let's check that again. Okay, so it is actually possible. They could assault all guerrillas and bases in a space. So that means now, yeah, let's start here. It says again here, assault actions. First, we do it in all spaces where assault would eliminate all guerrillas plus bases. So that's the case here. We got 2 guerrillas here, we got 3 cubes. And because of the mountain battalions, we can kill 1 guerrilla with each cube. So we will do that here. I'm just going to place a marker here for now. And then we can do it here. In the city, the police can kill the guerrillas in a city. But, let me see. It has to be an active guerrilla. So we can do that here in Neiva, but we cannot do it here in Cucuta because this is an underground guerrilla. That's an important distinction here. So I think it's only possible in these 2 areas. And then, let's see, in all spaces where at least 3 guerrilla could be eliminated, this is not the case. And then eliminate faction closest to winning first. Okay, so Overall, that means we can only do it in these 2 spaces, and we have to pay $3 for each space. So it's we are then at 34, and we're going to destroy these 2 guerrillas here and that one here. Fine. Okay, so yeah, these were the government operations, and now let's check for the special action. What can we do here? Okay. Oh damn it! I did that. I think I did that wrong actually, because I had to do an airlift first, because it says yes, then airlift, then assault. Okay, so let's do the airlift first. As I said, I haven't done that too often, played with this flowchart. So, okay, but let's see if there is a difference. So it says here airlift action. So to space with highest population where the additional cubes would allow the space to be cleared. Space 3 active guerrillas, highest population spaced with opposition. Oh my god. Okay, so an airlift allows us to move up to 3 troops from any one space to another. Okay, so let's see. In all spaces where assault... In all spaces? No, wait a second. To a space with the highest population where the additional cubes would allow the space to be cleared. Okay, so let me see. Where is that possible? That is definitely not so easy to find out. Okay, let's say we got 3 troops. So an option would be, for example, here, I guess, Atlantico Magdalena, or there, Cesar, because these are both active guerrillas. Could be also Choco Cordoba, but there it's not that easy, because there would be the base left, because we can only transport 3 troops into the space then. Nariño Chauca is an option. There is only the base unprotected. Arauca Casanare is also an interesting option. Yeah, okay, let's see. 3 active guerrillas. Okay. Okay, so I guess the airlift would... That's the first... I think it works in a way that we say, okay, we have to fulfill this one. If we cannot fulfill that assumption, then we go to this one. And if that's not possible, we go to that one. So this is possible. So what we do is, we have to roll the dice here, I guess. And then we'll take a random space of the possible candidates and see where we end up. So that's a 5 and a 3 and a 5. So that doesn't work. Amazonas, Putumayo doesn't work. Guaviare doesn't work. Metavest, no. Neva. Well, there they would do it anyway. Huila doesn't work. Pasto doesn't. Nariño. Yeah. This is it. So Nariño is actually the space. So I guess that will be our target for the airlift. And now we're going to see from where we take these guys. And that's not going to be so easy, because if we're going to take them from here, that might not be the best idea, because then we cannot kill these guys. So maybe we're going to take them from Bogota. But I got to check that if that's allowed at all. And it says here, let me see. Where are we? Airlift actions. for where to take from, see, sweep, move from. So this is this one. So that says bases in cities where cube is greater population. Well, that's not the case anywhere, I guess. Nope. Yes, actually it's this one. So it seems like we're gonna remove the ones from here. Oh man, but then it says departments with active support and no Farc. Yeah, that's a little complicated here. Well, I still would say it works the same way as before. If there were more options now where we could take our cubes from, then we would use that as a second priority. But because there is only one base and city where we can take oh, if there would be no, then we might use that one. But because there is an option and it's the only one, I'm pretty sure we will take that from here. And this makes the most sense, I don't know, but that's the way I read the flow chart. So we place this guy now in here, and then we do the assault. So and that means now that we can do an assault only here and there. And still we have to pay $6. And now these guys are eliminated. It's an interesting question if we need them all, by the way. It's an airlift. For where to take? Well, I think I won't take them all. I think I will only take the minimum which is necessary to kill them. Yeah, I don't know. Probably makes more sense. And this way we can also protect the base here, and in addition we can do the attack here. Well, yeah, that's pretty awesome actually. So it makes sense. We only take one here and we still can do an attack there. So we got to pay a third time $3. We can destroy the base here. We can do an attack on these two. Yeah, fine. And finally, we can destroy this guerrilla here in Neva. And that now means that I've lost a base, and that means that I've lost a point. So I'm back at 20 right now. Okay. So that was then the assault and the airlift. And the airlift was the special operation and the assault was the government operation. And I think that made actually sense. So they did some damage here. And then we come to the propaganda turn, and I would say we do that before I'm going to load that up. And that's a little special again, but it's not that hard. So we can now use this marker here, propaganda card, and simply go here over that track. So first we check for victory conditions. You can see here victory, and as we see, no one has fulfilled their victory conditions. The total support of the government is still at 51. Victory condition would be 60. The opposition and bases of the Farc, me, are still at 20. I would need 26. The AUC bases are at 3, while I have 8 bases, so they would need 9. And the cartel's bases, they have 4, they would need 11 to win, and they have 17 resources, and they would need 41 to win. So right now everyone's far from winning. And then we come to the next phase, and that is now the control phase. And that means we got to place now these markers here. There are government control markers, and on the other side they show Farc control. And what we should do now is, in every space where the Farc or the government has the majority of pieces, that space is under control of this faction, and there we should place these markers. I'm actually not doing this. I'm doing this only where it is really interesting, where it changes these opposition or support markers. So I think I'm going to do that here, for example. This thing is under government control, although it has active opposition. I'm going to do that here. It's under Farc control, although there is right now passive opposition. And where else is it interesting? Well, it's hard to say. This Kali is under cartels control. Over here, Cesar, here, that one is under Farc control and has no position, is neutral right now, basically. Okay. Yeah, I think these are all the... No, here. That thing is also under Farc control. Huila Tulima. So we can also place one here. Yep. These are all the interesting areas, actually. Now we're still in the control phase, and we would now sabotage all the lines of communications where there would be, I think, underground guerrillas. I'm not absolutely sure about that. I can check that in the next phase when it's going to be interesting. Now there is no underground guerrilla anyway, so maybe in the next propaganda card we will see that. Okay, so that's the end of the control phase. Then let's go to the resources phase. Now government gets the money, and in this case it's the LOCs plus 8. So the LOCs is 30, as long as they're not sabotaged. They gain the numbers that are here in these circles. And if you destroy an LOC or sabotage one, you got to subtract that from the income of the government. But because I didn't do that, they gain the full $30. Because now this guy Samper is El Presidente. There is no 8. So that's something special here. That means they gain $30, which is quite a bit, actually. They are now at 61. That's amazing. And that will be definitely helpful for them. But it's not a victory requirement. They can have as much money as they want. It won't directly lead them to a victory, but of course it's a useful tool. Okay, the insurgent factions, they get money depending on the number of their bases. So I get $8 because I get exactly the same amount of money as I have bases, so I'm at 12. The AUC, it's the same thing. They gain 3 because they got 3 bases, so they are at 11. And now the cartels, they have 4 bases, and I said it before, they gain 3 times the money. So they gain $12, so that's 29. So, well, they're getting closer to their this 41 resources victory condition. Okay, let's see. Then there would be shipments. You can kind of sell shipments to gain more money, but they are still all here. They're not on the board, so it doesn't matter. And now we can do civic actions. We come now to the support phase. So now we can do civic actions. That means now the factions, the government and the Farc can try to, well, let's say, manipulate the people in the country and try to get them on their side. But they can only do this in spaces they control. So they will do it now here in Nariño, Cauca, and they're going to try to shift the public opinion, and for each $3 they pay, public opinion shifts 1 toward active support. So if we want to go from active opposition to passive opposition, we got to pay $3. Then if we want to remove passive opposition, we got to pay again 3. Then if we want passive support, we pay 3. And to go to active support, we actually have to pay 6 now. So that's 3 and 3 again. Okay. And that gives them now 2 additional support points. So they have now a total support of 53. Okay, and then it's me. And let me see what I'm going to do. Well, okay. First of all, I'm going to start here, because this is the one with the highest population of 2, or with the highest population that I control, has a population of 2. So that gives me quite some opposition if I can manipulate these guys. So they are right now neutral. So if I pay, I only have to pay 1 for each step. The government has to pay 3, I only have to pay 1. So if I pay 2 now, then these guys here in Huila, Tolima, there is then an active opposition. So let's do that. Okay, and because these are 2 people here, or a population of 2 gives us +4. So that's really cool now. So that brings us to 24. That's a very valuable department here. Okay, let's see where else we could try to do that. This is actually called agitation. You know, if the government does it, it's called civic action. If I do it, it's called agitation. Theoretically, it would make sense here in Putumayo, Caqueta. The problem is, if you want to agitate, or same thing if you want to do a civic action, and there is a terror marker here, you cannot immediately start flipping these support or opposition markers. You have to pay first to remove the terror marker, and it would cost me 1 for each terror marker to remove, and for the government it would cost 3 to remove a terror marker. So if I wanted to do that right now, I had to pay 2 to remove the terror markers and 3 to get to active support. So I had to pay 5, and that's too much. I don't want to do that. I cannot afford that. I don't have much money left. So instead what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do it here, César La Guajira, and I'm going to pay 2, because it's neutral now, I'm going to pay 2 to get an active support here. Okay. So that's also great. No, it's not active support, of course, it's active opposition. So that gives me now, again, 2 more opposition points. So right now, I'm actually at 26, which is pretty amazing. that means I now fulfill my victory condition. And if I can bring this base into play, that shouldn't be too hard. I can be at 27, which is really cool. But because it's after this victory phase here of the propaganda round, it's I'm far from a victory. I am anyway, and apart from that, I cannot win during these victory cards, except from the last one. I explained that at the beginning. In a multiplier game, that's different. As soon as a propaganda card shows up and you one person fulfills the victory conditions, it's the winner. In a solo play, it's different. If a non-player fulfills the victory conditions, you lose right away. If you do fulfill them, you don't win. You have to go through the deck until the last and fourth propaganda card. Okay, so that was my agitation action then. And then we have an election. So, and now if the support would be now over 60, then El Presidente would stay. But that's not the case. So that means the next Presidente will come in place, and that is Pastrana. And if he comes, if he shows up, the government has to place a Farc zone. Well, a Farc zone is a zone where the government is not allowed to place any cubes. That's basically it. Yeah, they are not allowed to place any police or troops in that zone. And the government has to place that Farc zone in the area where most Farc pieces are. So I assume this is Huila Tolima, but I'm not absolutely sure. Let's see, 6, 8 pieces here. Here we have 6. Yeah, it is Huila Tolima. So that's what happens. They're placing a Farc zone here. So yeah, that is what happens if Pastrana becomes president of Colombia. Okay, now we come to the last step of that support phase. It says elite backing. So that means that the AUC is allowed now to rally in one space with neither opposition nor government control nor Farc control. Okay, so let's see. I assume that these rally priorities still apply. So that means that, let me see, we will place them, yeah, we will place them at all Farc bases, then at AUC bases. Okay, so we have now 2 areas with AUC bases, and let me see. Yeah, they're both not under government control, more Farc control. So actually, let's do it randomly. First, 1 to 3 is Atlántico, the other one is Antioquia. Okay, so we will place 2 AUC guerrillas here in Atlántico. That's where they are. Because there's a base, we can place 2 there. That's now the end of the support phase, and now we come to the redeploy phase. The government must now redeploy troops and police. So let's see how that works. Okay, the government must move any troops on line of communications or in departments without government bases to government-controlled spaces that either are cities or have government bases. Okay, that means we're talking about these troops here, Nariño Cauca. This is the only one then. The government may move any other troops to such government-controlled cities or bases. The government may move any police to any LOCs or government-controlled spaces. Okay, we also have a... Let me see in our flow chart. I haven't done that before. Let's see what they say here. Redeployment. Put police on all LOC with guerrillas, such that guerrillas do not exceed police. Okay, that's not the case, because there are no guerrillas on LOCs. Put police in cities so that no cities have more guerrillas than police. Well, that's interesting now. And the problem is actually, it's not possible, because in Cali, well, actually, I think we don't, yeah, no, but in Cali we can't do that, because... let me see. Okay, so we had to take cubes from for redeployment, troops that must be redeployed. So we can take that one, that's for sure. Police in LOC, we don't. That's not the case. Department with population is 0. That's not the case. Location where number of cubes exceeds population. Okay, so where would that be? Nowhere. Yeah, that's nowhere. So basically, the only thing we actually can move is here, this guy from Nariño Cauca, and we have to move that. And we're gonna move that now where? Put troops into cities and bases so that there is at least as many cubes as the population. Okay, so I assume that is now either here in Cali or Bogota. These are the two options. Or Bucaramanga, that's also Medellin. Well, there are actually some. Okay, so I guess I have to roll again. Yeah, and that is actually Bucaramanga, so that is where we place this guy now. Here. Goes in that city. Okay, and apart from that, because these conditions here are nowhere fulfilled. Now, apart from the first condition, troops that must be redeployed, police in LOC without guerrillas, department with population is 0, and location where number of cubes exceeds population. This is nowhere the case, so we won't redeploy any more troops now. Okay. It's really time for the government to bring some cubes on the board. That is definitely necessary for them. Fine, so that was now the redeploy phase for the government, and then finally we come to the reset phase. First we got to do the eligibility, and they all are now eligible again. Okay, then we would remove all the terror and sabotage markers. That's only here actually, so they are removed now. Then we remove the control markers. So it's this one here, that one, this one, and that one. Then we remove the insurgency momentum markers, or the cards. So this is now that one here. So from now on, the government can do sweep and assault against the AUC. And finally, we have to flip now all guerrillas back to underground. Okay, so we did that too. And this is then the end of the propaganda card, the propaganda round. So this marker goes back here. We can remove that card, just to keep in mind that we had our first card. And then we're going to place the new card here. So this is the card for the next turn, and we're going to flip this so we can see what the next turn will bring. Okay, So yeah, that's basically it then. And well, it's I think it's still interesting. The government definitely needs more troops on the board. That's a problem. They didn't do a rally action until now. And I think if there would be a human player, this would be probably something they would have done right at the start. Try to get lots of troops on the board. But in this case, they didn't do it. Okay, and well, apart from that, I think everything is going fine. It's still pretty balanced. And hope to see you in my next video. Until then, bye.